Hey, what's up, guys? This is Eric Varela, just posting my PowerPoint presentation. And the topic today is going to be unusual attitude recovery. This is actually one of my favorite maneuvers that we did for my PPL. So I don't know if you can see properly, hopefully you can, but I'll read it off if you can't. The most important thing to do is to first stop and recognize when you are in an unusual attitude. Before we get into techniques on how to recover from usual attitudes, we must first understand how to recognize an unusual attitude when it occurs. First question is, when do we know the aircraft is established in an unusual attitude? So, the definition in the Airplane Flying Handbook defines an unusual attitude as an unintended or unexpected attitude in instrument flight. As a general rule of thumb, anytime the aircraft's instrument indicates something other than normal flight conditions, it is safe to say you are in an unusual attitude. Unusual attitudes also, and it's very important to understand this, that they can occur in visual conditions as well as IMC. So it's not just for IFR pilots. I think as PPL pilots, we get a little cocky and we think, oh, well, maybe that's really just for IFR. We're not going to get ourselves in a sticky situation, but that's why it is part of the ACS for your PPL to practice unusual attitudes, because it very much can happen to you in VFR as well. Unusual attitudes are also a result of turbulence, disorientation, or instrument failure. So those are some examples of how we can get ourselves in those situations. Sometimes those come without warning, and then sometimes it's pilot error, something that we're just not taking into consideration. Common errors leading to unusual attitude. Here's some common errors below are some right here. So failure to keep recent and basic instrument recovery. Practice is important in sharpening your instrument skills. Another thing is that if we're fixating on our instruments, or one instrument in particular, and not being really slow and cross-tracking your other instruments while we're scanning. So keeping a good scan is always very important. CRM is important too. Failure in utilizing crew resource management and being disorganized in the cockpit. For example, trying to find your approach plates while on approach when they could have been placed on your lap prior to descending. Attempting to recover from an unusual attitude by the use of your sensory organs other than relying on the instruments to make sound decisions. So instruments all about instruments. So we must focus on the instruments only instead of being misled by our sensory organs. So there's nose high attitudes and then there's nose low attitudes. Let's talk about nose high attitudes. A nose high attitude can be recognized by the following instrument indications. So your vertical speed indicator shows an increase on the top right. Altimeter on the top right as well showing an increase. Airspeed indicator showing a decrease. Attitude indicator showing a nose up pitch. A nose low attitude, a low attitude can be recognized by the following instrument indications. Vertical speed indicator showing a decrease. Altimeter showing a decrease. Airspeed indicator showing an increase. Attitude indicator showing a nose down pitch. So let's talk about recoveries. Unusual attitude recovery should be initiated as soon as one is recognized. Recovery should be completed in reference of the airspeed indicator, altimeter, vertical speed indicator, and slip skid indicator. Let's talk specifically how do you get yourself out of a nose high unusual attitude. Recovery from a nose high attitude should be attempted as followed. So what we're going to do is go throttle full. We're going to decrease our pitch, lower the nose to a level pitch attitude, and then we're going to our wings, we're going to level them with our ailerons. Another thing that's important is make sure we use proper rudder control, so that way we have a proper coordination while leveling. Another key thing is increasing the throttle full will increase your airspeed while lowering your nose will reduce your angle of attack to prevent a stall. Leveling your wings will stop any unnecessary turns while regaining control of the aircraft. And all of these controls must be made almost simultaneously. Now for nose low attitude recovery. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the throttle to idle, wings level, use the coordinated ailerons and rudder, increase pitch, / raise nose to level flight attitude. The reason why we're reducing the throttle to idle is to prevent altitude loss and an excessive accumulation of speed, which could result in structural damage if not monitored. Wings are leveled before increasing pitch to avoid G-force loading or accelerated stall in the recovery. Again, all inputs should be done as smoothly as possible to prevent structural damage. There's my presentation. Reference Airplane Flying Handbook 2004. Yeah, guys, thanks for sorry, went over a little bit, but that's my presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.